I was asked to fly a mission, and it was to have been literally the last mission I would fly in Vietnam because the squadron was leaving in a couple of days and I would not be able to fly anymore. I got hit pulling out of a dive bomb run, and the aircraft lost control of the aircraft because the hydraulic systems were knocked out of it, so therefore the flight controls were destroyed. And I ejected from a very steep nose-down attitude going about 500 miles an hour at about 3,000 feet. And I was immediately captured when I got on the ground. As soon as we were pretty sure the guards had left, we whispered, "Okay, count all, who's here?" And somebody said he thought he was at the end cell, said, "I'm so-and-so," and Jack Bomar in room 1, and Coley Haynes in room 2, and got down to me, and Orson Swindle in room 5, and went on down the way, and all of a sudden, John McCain in room 9, and said, "Orson, this is John McCain." And I'd never met him. And he said, "I've been wanting to meet you a long time." He said, you're one of my heroes. You're a Marine. I always wanted to be a Marine." And I said, "Well, John, you're a Naval Academy graduate. You could have been a Marine. Why didn't you become a Marine?" And here we're whispering, and it's dangerous because they pound on us if they catch us communicating. And John, I said, "Well, why didn't you join the Marine Corps?" He said, "Well, I wasn't qualified." And I said, "John, what do you mean you weren't qualified?" He said, "Well, my parents were married." And the whole camp, this little camp of us broke up. And that was my first real words with John McCain. And it was not too many weeks after that that group was moved in together back at the Hanoi Hilton. And we lived together the last couple of years of the war. In fact, we slept side by side for about 18 months, as I recall. Well, the group was sort of a group of smartasses, so he was in good company. We were all, as I said, they said, "You're the bad apples of the barrel," which there were plenty more bad apples, I might add. I mean, we were not the toughest or the roughest or anything, but they didn't like us, and we were all a little bit on the sarcastic side. John and I got together, and he did a Monday night at the movie one night. So we started having Monday night at the movies where John or somebody who knew a movie, and he knows all the movies. One-Eyed Jacks being his favorite movie, and Viva Zapata, and he would tell these movies, and everybody would sit there and listen, and it was such a hit. We had Tuesday night at the movies, Wednesday night at the movies, and it just kept going and going. And John and I even got so creative as to try to teach a course in the history of the English and American novel, and that's another story into itself. But at times I said, "Well, John, I don't think we've got this right." He said, "Doesn't matter. Nobody here knows the story, so they think we know what we're talking about." So we'd made these cards, and you'd have to shuffle them by spreading them all out. Driving by, they had to do it today, nuts, But we had been playing bridge, and John and I were pitted against one another. John plays the hand he's dealt so poorly that we just beat the living daylights out of him. Just humiliating, and he couldn't control it. And he wanted to throw the hand in, and my partner said, "Hey, everybody, come over and watch John play this hand," because we had him. Well, he is just furious. So he gets mad with me, and he won't speak to me that night. And then the next day, we're walking around our little track for exercise in the room, the cell, and I passed him. I said, "John, want to play a little bridge?" And he's tight-lipped. He's limping around with that bum leg. And he doesn't speak. Well, that night, they come in and say, "Roll up, call my name." And it's obvious we're about to all get split up. And John comes running up, and he said, "Orson," he said, "you're my best friend." He said, "I'm sorry, I've been a real jerk." And I looked back at him, and I said, "You are a little jerk." And I said a couple other things that weren't too savory. And I turned around and walked, and I looked back, and his his jaw had dropped open. He was so shocked that I'd speak to him. And then I broke out laughing. I said, "I'll see you at home."